Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. I wanted to reach out to you guys today and give you guys a quick update on what's going on. Right now I'm recording on my Lumix G9. As you guys know, about a week and a half ago I bought this camera, and yesterday I did my first ever photo shoot with this camera using the 12-60 f2.8 f4 Leica lens that comes as a kit on the GH5, but I had to buy it separate for the G9. And I want to give you guys a couple thoughts on that. But first, a couple things about the shoot before going into it. It was a family portrait shoot. Hey guys, good morning. So I'm here, it's Saturday morning. It's 9:15 in the morning, and I've got my my friends, customers, clients, whatever you want to call it, but they're friends and family of mine. Actually, the guy helped me buy my house and sell my last house. Coming here to shoot photos, and they got 4 kids. I think the youngest one is like 1, maybe not even. Yeah, I think 1. And of course, today is the coldest day of the year. It's 34 degrees outside. It's freezing. So here's the problem. Here's the thing. It's gonna be a bit of a challenge because I don't typically take larger family photos with kids. It's a lot to, a lot to manage and stuff like that. And it's not the photography side of things, in fact, that's a problem. It's more about the directing side that I'm working on and getting better at. So that's a bit of a concern for me. I have some poses, I have some thoughts in mind, and the location I picked, you guys watched my last video, which a lot of you did not, because I got like 30 views at this point, where other videos are getting like 400 or 500 views. Anyways, the location I picked has all the shots I want to take within like a 2-minute walking distance, which it works out really, really well. But I'm a little concerned with the kids being cold, so here goes nothing. I'll be shooting on the Panasonic G9 with the Leica 12-60. I don't think this lens will be an issue because it's gonna be bright enough for the light, yet you want the depth of field, the f4 depth of field, with kids being a different focal plane, so I think it's gonna work out okay. I did bring the flash. I have not really used that much or at all actually in some of the prior shoots I've done. It's been a bit of a problem for me because I wanted to expose to the background more properly and light the face and do some fill light. I'm not sure if I'll use it or not, but we'll check it out. Anyways, 34 degrees, 4 small kids. It was 4 kids, the 2 parents. It was 34 degrees outside. 34 degrees. That's cold. Which is always a challenge because one of the kids is super young. I think he's 6 months old. And I was in a spot where there were like 8 or 9 other competing photographers. So that was very interesting. So to make things a little bit more interesting, we've got 3 other photographers back here, or at least 2. I think it might be 3. One of them of which is doing a senior portrait shoot, and the other one's doing, it looks like, engagement photo shoots. So of the 3 locations I want to shoot at, that means more than likely 2 of them will be preoccupied, and there might be some people in my background, so this could be fun. The one guy looks pretty legit. He's got like soft boxes out here. He's got the whole thing going on. I'm just bringing an on-camera flash and 1 lens, 2 lenses. Make it happen. So let me give you guys a few thoughts on the G9 with this lens, and a couple things I want to talk about. First of all, I would say in general, I want to mention the focusing, the autofocusing. I had this thing on face detection the entire time, and in general, it worked really well. I just dimmed the lights, by the way, because it was like making my hair look weird. So a couple thoughts I want to talk about the G9. First of all, let's talk about battery life and other things like that. Absolutely no issues. Ergonomics fantastic. The battery life was great. No issues whatsoever. I did 1 battery. I shot for about 2 hours, hour and a half, and I think I used 1 out of the 4 slices on the battery indicator. In fact, I'm recording this video right now using the same battery I haven't charged since yesterday. So on a couple technical things, a couple things that I noticed were a little bit of an issue for me. I was shooting some photos, and I'll show you guys here in a second, backlit. And a couple times the focus had a hard time hitting. I don't think that's abnormal for most cameras. However, on the G9, it's like it just totally missed the subject and it was blinded by the light. So that was a bit of a concern. I'll be honest though, I think that happened 1 out of like 20 or 30 shots I did that were backlit like that. So it wasn't a big issue. But if you're trying to get that 1 shot, it's something to think about. And perhaps the one thing I wasn't sure about, and this is my next topic on this whole tracking thing, I was using face detection. Like I'm using face detection now. However, using the joystick, the little box was off to the side. So I wasn't sure if it was because the camera was not able to detect a face, therefore it defaulted back to the box. And that might have been what was happening, because when I moved that box onto the face, or onto the head, and you'll see the picture in a second, it's a side shot holding the baby up, you can't really see. When I moved the joystick box, or the autofocus box, onto my subject, I didn't have that issue anymore. And I'm thinking now that I'm talking through this with you guys, it probably was more that it couldn't recognize a face, and it defaulted to where the autofocus box was. So that might have been the issue. Other than that, the autofocus is fantastic. I did a bunch of shots where the family was walking and holding hands and kind of doing the laughing thing or whatever on continuous burst, and the thing kept up. No problem. All the shots were in focus, which is surprising me because even my Canon 80D prior to this had issues maintaining that kind of focusing accuracy. So really impressed with that whole thing. Second thing, depth of field. A couple of photos you'll see here in a second. Depth of field was not an issue, I would say, in most cases. However, I was shooting this lens at f4, and some of the wider shots I took, which I wasn't able to drive some of that compression and that background blur, do look a little bit flat, if you will. And there's one or two of them. I think it's still a great photo, but on a full frame camera, that would have been a lot more blurred out. So that was a bit of an issue. However, on the flip side, and this is where I think things get really interesting, I shot the whole thing at f4, which is an f8 equivalent depth of field in the full frame world. However, it's still an f4 aperture. So I was able to have those higher shutter speeds and freeze motion and have those tack shark images. And for these families, they had heads on different focal planes, and there was a lot of stuff going on. It was not an issue for focusing. In prior photography experiences, especially on my Canon EOS RP, I shot a couple photo shoots with that thing. I would shoot at 1.8 or 1.4 or even 2.8. And if people are on different focal planes, even the APS-C camera I had, on different focal planes, people are out of focus. So I'd have to bump that thing up to f5.6, f7, or f8. And then you start having to lower your shutter speeds, and those cameras weren't IBIS. So then you see the problem. And that's really where the Panasonic G9 actually worked really, really well for me, because you can get some of those faster prime lenses if you want to get the shallow depth of field, but you have the IBIS and you shoot the faster shutter speeds, and you're really getting the equivalent depth of field of like an f3.4 or an f4, depending on the aperture of your lens. So that's a huge advantage. So far, I like that a lot. Third thing, this lens. I mentioned it when I first bought the lens. I talked to you guys about it. I love the way it looks. It's super contrasty. It does have a little bit of that Leica magic. Maybe not as much as a true like Summilux or Summicron, but it does have a little bit of that micro contrasty, punchy Leica look to it. And so much so I actually had to remove some contrast in post on some of these photos. It's really, really interesting. I like the lens a lot. It's a fantastic lens. It's a great zoom range. It's very versatile. I didn't use any other lens but this. Shooting wide, shooting tight. Everything was great. I highly actually recommend this lens for any photography you do that's going to have ample light like I was outdoors. With that being said, I want to say so far I'm very, very happy with my purchase on the G9. I just want to give you guys a quick update. I'm going to roll the music. I'm going to show some photos. These were not fully edited. All I did was straighten them, and then if I had to, I like bump the exposure or reduce the contrast or increase contrast. Other than that, these photos haven't been touched. So enjoy. Oh, my mom's calling. Other than that, guys, hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any comments, leave them below, and I appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.